Alrighty, folks, we are live. All right, check it out. This is my first video recording while I am screen sharing, and I figured I really wanted to show you some stuff here I've been looking into because what's going on right now in the news and what's going on right now in social media is information warfare, and a lot of stuff's being thrown on online that's either misinformation or just straight up fake news. And I thought I would show you exactly what I'm talking about because it seems like a lot of you just get told something and you just believe it without like verifying it. So I thought I'd bring up the definition of fake news for you. And here it is right here. The term fake news means news articles that are intentionally and verifiably false, designed to manipulate people's perceptions of real facts, events, and statements. It's about information presented as news that is known by its prompter to be false based on facts that are demonstrably incorrect or statements or events that are verifiably did not happen. And why am I bringing this up? Well, if you go on Google or if you go on any of these mainstream sites, like I'm just gonna go real quick. I don't use Google anymore, heads up, and I'll explain why a little bit later in the video why I don't use Google anymore. But I use this thing called DuckDuckGo, which is it's similar to Google, but they don't filter your search results and they don't track you either. So Google likes to track everything you do online, and I'm not down with that anymore. So all right, so let's type in voter fraud, see what pops up. You type that in, and first thing you get is Microsoft News, ABC News. And the first thing I see is armed protesters gather over baseless voter fraud claims. See right there? Baseless. Okay. They're saying it's baseless, meaning that there's no evidence whatsoever. But I just want to point out that almost all of these main stories you get at the very beginning, Google's even worse. Google is literally, you don't see New York Post, you won't see Town Hall, you won't see the Federal, you won't see any of these sites on Google. If you go there, it's literally only CNN, only ABC, only some stories from Fox, and all their headlines are baseless, no evidence, zero fraud, right? It's all fake, right? But there are a few sites that are honest and they don't just straight up say there's no evidence. And I can give you an example right here. If you go to the Gateway Pundit, there's literally all kinds of freaking evidence. All right, let me just give you an example. Did you know that the state of Texas is suing Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia? All right, and they're suing them not over voter fraud, but over the fact that all those states in question, all the states that took dumbass long to count, ballots, even though states like California and Texas were done on election night. These four states that are a fraction of the population, we're still counting weeks after I think they're still counting some of these states actually, but yet they decided to certify the results. It made no damn sense. So Texas decided to sue them saying that they weren't running their elections properly. All right. They aren't talking about this on the fake news media. They're not talking about it at all because it's fake news. All right. This is real news. This is something that's actually happening. All right. And you can see now that Texas has a case against Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Georgia. And now you have states versus states going on right now. Hold on. They actually have, look at it, Supreme Court of the United States. That's an actual document. All right. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Okay. It's the state of Texas. That's the plaintiff versus the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, state of Georgia, state of Michigan, state of Wisconsin. All right. I'm not going to read the whole thing right here. I encourage you to look this up yourself, all right? Because one of the biggest things is you can't just tell people this stuff. You have to encourage them to look it up themselves. So I'm showing you where I'm getting this info from, all right? The Gateway Pundit. You can go online and look it up yourself. Google will not pull it up for you, all right? You got to type that website in. So you come here. They literally explain what's going on, all right? And it's news because they're giving you links. They're giving you what's actually going on. They're not just giving you opinion pieces, which is what CNN does all the time. All right. So that's one. Did you know Hunter Biden is being investigated right now? Back in October, a story broke that only Fox, Newsmax, and maybe a couple other smaller news outlets covered. CNN, ABC, All the mainstream ones, you know what they did? They all blocked it. They censored it. They didn't allow that story to come to light at all. All right. They basically said that that story is not important and they're not going to cover it. But now let's go back to freaking Hunter Biden. Look at that first thing, investigation. Enter. Joe Biden breaks silence on Hunter for first time since federal tax investigation surface. Feds on Biden on Feds probes. I'm proud of my son. What does that have to do with the actual investigation? See, that's how you know, like, it's very misleading. All they talk about is just Biden's opinion on it. They don't give you what the investigation's about. They don't tell you what he's being looking into for. They don't give you none of that. I mean, that's how you know it's fake. Investigation of his son is likely to hang over Biden as he takes office. Yeah, that might be true, but why aren't they talking about what the case is actually about? You click on these articles, you read through them. They don't explain what the investigation's about. They don't tell you that this story actually broke in October. All right. And what we find out is Hunter Biden, who is the son of Joe Biden here. So this is the guy that's president elect. This is his son. He had two sons. One of them died. This is the one that's still alive. This guy is a crack addict. He's a crack addict. He is dishonorably discharged from the Navy for his addiction. The reason I'm bringing that up is that this guy's not successful in anything. He hasn't created anything, but for some reason, he got deals in Ukraine. He got deals in China where he would just show up. They put him on the board of supervisors on a lot of these companies, and he couldn't bring any kind of, I don't know, he didn't have no skills to contribute to these companies, yet these companies were paying millions of dollars. And you find out that the only reason he was on a lot of these companies is because he's related to, at the time, the vice president of the United States, and now supposedly the president-elect. That's literally the only reason why he got any of this money. All right. All of this is breaking now, and you're not hearing about any of it from the mainstream media. All right. Fox News barely covers it. They did cover it in October, but you're having, let me type in CNN. I want to see what CNN is saying. All right. On CNN, what does Hunter actually tell us? Let's click on it. Let's go to the site. Let's see what they're saying. This was today. This was issued today. Okay, on Wednesday, we learned that Hunter Biden, son of President-elect, see, they're calling him
President-elect Joe Biden's son, Hunter, announced that the U.S.
I don't like Jake Tapper, so I'm going to pause that. The son of President-elect Joe Biden is under investigation by federal prosecutors in Delaware regarding several financial questions that have arisen as a result of his business dealings in foreign countries, most notably China. And you know what's funny is CNN is treating this like breaking news, like we just found out. This happened back in October, right before the election, all right? This is huge, all right? They've done freaking polls on this stuff, and they found out that, hey, they polled Joe Biden voters. Actually, they polled all voters, all right? And they explained to them the whole story behind Hunter Biden, how there's an investigation going on into him, that he had dealings in foreign countries, that a lot of this info, if you didn't know, a lot of you don't know because you're watching this crap, you're watching CNN. They completely ignored it in October because the original story that broke stated that a laptop that Hunter Biden left at a laptop repair store in Delaware, he had dropped his laptop over there to get repaired, never bothered picking it up. All right, and according to the store's policy, is if you don't pick it up after 90 days, it's his, and the store owner kept it and just held on to it. But that was back in 2019. This was last year this happened. And what happened last year around this time? The impeachment. The impeachment was going on last year around this time frame, November, December time frame, right? That was all over the news. They were trying to impeach the president. And what we find out is that was April of 2019 that he found his laptop. He was holding on to it. And then the owner of that store saw what was going on TV, and that the fact that, did you remember why the president was being impeached? He was being impeached because he was looking into dealings that Joe Biden had in Ukraine. He made a phone call, and of course the news framed it as, Donald Trump's looking into dirt on his political opponents, which was false, because at the time he did it, Joe Biden wasn't even running for president. It wasn't until later he became a candidate for president of the United States. And then all of a sudden, oh, hands off. He's a political opponent. We can't investigate him. That looks bad, right? Now, that might be the main reason why Joe Biden decided to run for president. It was because he knew he was being investigated, and he knew his best defense was, you know what, I'm going to run for office. Anything you do to investigate me, that's just political. This is a political attack, all right? Because he was a civilian at the time. President Trump was looking into that. He gets impeached over that damn thing, and the guy, the store owner who found that laptop, he decided to look at the laptop, and he found all kinds of incriminating evidence. He turned it into the FBI last year. And if you look it up, I'm probably have to do it in the next video, but he ended up turning that into the FBI, and they have a case number on it. So the FBI has actually been investigating Hunter Biden for over a year. Why have you not heard anything about it? I don't know. It's really fishy, and it's not just the news, and it's not just big tech, but there's even government agencies are in on this crap. All right, FBI seems very suspect. The fact that they had this info for over a year and it didn't come forward. Maybe it's because they didn't want Trump in office. A lot of people don't want Trump in office. And they were willing to keep their mouth shut until after the election. Now that like CNN and all of them are parading around like Joe Biden is the president-elect, even like I just showed you, there's all kinds of investigations and court cases going on, that no one's president-elect now. All right, you need to understand that. They keep putting it in your head, and they keep messing with your minds, but keep saying president-elect, president-elect. Look, at the very first sentence of this article, they call him president-elect. All right, and that is verifiably false. All right. Have you ever heard of Candace Owens? Let me bring it up right now. I'm on a computer, so I can just bring this up for you, right? You don't got to take my word for it. Candace Owens sues fact checkers. Because guess what? Those fact checkers, you find out, they're not really fact checkers. All right. Here we go. Candace Owens sues Facebook's fact checkers for defamation. I'm sick of the censorship. This is Candace Owens. All right, she's a huge conservative. That's Charlie Kirk, another good conservative guy. They've been coming out against the censorship for a while now, and she got fact checked over stating. Hold on, let's see if I can find it. It doesn't state it right here. Doesn't say it in this freaking story. Let's go back. That's why. You know why it doesn't say it? Because it's Washington Times. That's why. Newsmax. Here you go. Newsmax is a little bit more reliable. They're like the new Fox. So you go over here. Candace Owens to sue Facebook fact checker for censoring her videos, because that's what they're doing. All right. It doesn't say it here either. All right. Anyways, she was fact checked for stating that legally Joe Biden is not the president-elect. So all these news companies, all these big tech places that are stating he's president-elect, that is a factually false statement. There's no president-elect yet, all right? She got fact-checked, she sued, she won, all right? She won because she was telling the truth and she was correct. So all of these news places saying president-elect, it's called psychological warfare, people. They're messing with your head. They're constantly saying it so you believe it. If you don't fact check it and you don't look at other sources, you'll never know the truth. So he's being investigated, and they're treating it like breaking news. And it's sickening that they waited till after the election to say that. All right, this would have swayed the election. All right, ignore all the voter fraud stuff. Ignore all the election improprieties, all the lawsuits. They're saying in this poll that about 6 to 10% of people, had they known about the Hunter Biden story, they wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden. They wouldn't have voted. They keep saying it's about Hunter. It's not about his dad. If you read the emails, if you look at what that laptop stated, it shows that Joe Biden was well aware of what his son was doing. And his son was only in those positions because Joe Biden put him there. It wasn't that Hunter Biden, some class A business guy that can go around the world and set up deals in foreign countries where he doesn't know the language and he doesn't know anything about those companies. Those companies wanted access to Joe Biden. And just like how the mob, they don't take money directly. They make sure you pay their family members. What does Joe Biden do? He put his son in those companies so they pay his son and then he gets a cut from his son. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. All right. So when he went on the debate and says, I have never accepted money from a foreign government, That might be true, but your son did, and then you took it from your son. All right. It's really sickening just how deep this goes, and that these guys are trying to pretend this is breaking news. There, it's known that he's under tax investigation, but we all know that's bullshit. It's not for taxes. It's for a lot worse than that. Hold on. Screw CNN. I'm gonna give you some real info because CNN is freaking fake. All right, hold up. Let's go. CNN, New York Post, FBI investigator over money laundering, not taxes. I mean, that might be part of it, and that's all he wants to admit to. But it's money laundering allegations. All right. And look at that. Oh my God. Look at that. October 29th, before the election. These guys were covering it way before CNN. And now CNN try to act like breaking news. No, no. They've been lying to you the whole time. They manipulated the election by lying to a lot of you that there was no evidence. There was no evidence, or the Hunter Biden story was Russian misinformation. Or why aren't they saying that now? Go to CNN. They ain't saying anything about Russian misinformation. All right. It's because they made that crap up. This guy right here doesn't deserve the positions he was given. He was given a lot of money for not doing anything. And it's because his only job was to be a go-between between his dad, Joe Biden, and those foreign entities. So that's in the news. You didn't hear anything about that. But I just want to finish this video up with something that I feel like, people, the fake news is a real thing. I'm explaining you how it's even possible. All right. Did you know that 6 companies own almost all of the media? I'm gonna show you a little. I don't know if you've ever seen this. The media consolidation, the illusion of choice. The media, 90% of what we read, watch, and listen to is owned by 6 media giants. All right. You got GE, News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, CBS. Between those 6 companies, 6 CEOs control 90% of what we read, see, and hear. All right. Look, to an example, GE, they own Comcast, NBC, fake news, Universal Pictures, Focus Features, News Corp, they own Fox, fake news, Wall Street Journal, they own the New York Post. So it's kind of weird that New York Post is covering it. So I don't know, be on the lookout for that. But Disney, ABC, fake news. All right. Viacom, they own BET, MTV, Nick Jr. Oh my God. Time Warner, CNN. This is old, actually. This was back in 2011. AT&T. Where's AT&T at? I saw AT&T over here. Anyways, AT&T owns CNN, which tells you Time Warner owns AT&T. Don't fact check me. This is a little dated, but there's actually less companies. You notice that Disney bought out part of Fox, so part of Fox is actually over in a Disney category now. And look, in 1983, 90% of the media was owned by 50 companies. 50. 2011, it was only 6. 9 years later, I think they've whittled it down to only 5 companies. I'll have to come back and fact check myself on that, but. Look, they control freaking everything. If you want a more detailed view, look, the 6 corporations that own almost all of the media. All right, when was, I got to give you a date on this one, but this is a little bit more recent. You have this guy, Summer Redstone. He owns all of this, okay? He owns MTV, CBS, Viacom, Showtime, Nickelodeon, CBS Sports, all that stuff, all right? And on the internet, they own some internet companies. Right? CNET, TV Guide, CBS Interactive, GameStop, CBS Games, Disney. Disney's a big one. All right. Disney's got ABC. All right. It's got, who else? They got Vice. They got all the Disney, all the Marvel, all the Star Wars. All right. It's not on here, but they own Star Wars now. They got all of these companies under one umbrella. Okay. And that's not even including print. All right, they got all the Disney stuff. They got Marvel Comics now. That's just Disney. Time Warner, they got CNN. All right, one of the fake news. It's like the biggest. It's like the poster child of fake news. All right, Time Warner and HBO, Warner Brothers, everything that they're all owned by just a few people. Adult Swim. They're all owned. Time Magazine. They just said Joe Biden. They put him on the cover of Time Magazine, which is a freaking joke. They put Hitler on the front of Time Magazine too. So, It's meaningless. It's just to show you that life. Look, they have all the major news printing companies under just a few CEOs. Okay, so I could keep going. CNC, they're all owned by a few people. All right, Hulu, CNBC, Bravo. They're all USA, Universal Pictures. They're all owned by just a few people. All right. So when we say there's fake news, what we're really saying is these six companies have a vested interest on being on the same side, and to them it's better to donate to the Democrats and the people on the Democratic side because it's better for their pockets. All right. And it's not just the media companies, it's big tech as well. All right. So let me show you. I'm gonna show you CNBC. All right. It's funny that majority of what they put out is bullshit, but every once in a while these companies put out a factual statement. They just don't talk about it on there. They'll post an article just to say they covered it, but they don't really talk about it. It like gets buried in the back of their archive of stories. All right. But even on their own website, they stated that about 98% of political contributions from internet companies went to Democrats. All right. The CEOs of Asana, Twilio, and Netflix are among the biggest contributors. All right. Super PACs focused on flipping the Senate into favor of Democrats and winning in swing states received millions of dollars from tech execs. Now, why are all the big tech companies, why are they all donating to Democrats? Why are they all behind Joe Biden? All right. And you find out the policies, hold on, I think I found it over here. The policies that were pretty much put in place by the Obama administration, AKA Joe Biden, they were very friendly to a lot of these tech companies. You notice ever since 2008, a lot of these companies just blew up. Facebook, Netflix, Twitter. It was because of the policies they put in place that it favored these companies and they had a monopoly on our information. That's why Facebook's bigger than any other social media. MySpace fell off. I don't know who's still on MySpace, but no one's on it anymore because Facebook took over. Netflix is the biggest streaming service on the planet right now. And I remember when it started off, they were mailing DVDs. I remember my mom was a big Netflix junkie back in like the early 2000s, and we used to get them mailed to us, all right? Then it went into streaming, and then it just took over from there, all right? And they all have a vested interest in keeping these Democratic politicians in power, all right? So let me just give you a runaround of who has been donating to Joe Biden in the campaign. So there's a lot of bias, all right? Alphabet. If you don't know, Alphabet is the parent company of Google, and Google is the parent company of YouTube. So underneath Alphabet, you got Google and YouTube, the biggest web search place on the internet, and YouTube, the biggest video sharing place on the internet. And look at that. They donated $21 million to Joe Biden and Democratic super PACs, all right? So when you go to Google and you type in anything that's pro-Trump, they donated to Joe Biden. They're not going to show you anything favorable to Trump, all right? That's why when people use Google, they're getting crap. They're like, I'll go to Google right now just to show you, all right? Google. And you type in voter fraud. All you're going to get is Trump team throws in towel on proven voter fraud. That's false. Arizona GOP chair takes voter fraud lawsuit to Supreme Court. That's just news. GOP tells officials no credible evidence of large-scale voter fraud. That's like, you go to Google, that's what they put in your face, all right? Because they're trying to mislead you, all right? Look, New York Times, the Washington Post, Heritage, Forbes, Fox News, all of those you can find underneath these umbrellas, all right? That's Google. But when you type in the same thing into DuckDuckGo, I mean, you're still going to get some of those bigger ones, but you're going to get a different search result, all right? So it gives you Microsoft News, but then you get New York Post, you get the heritage.org, you get Town Hall, the Federalist. I bet you haven't even heard of a lot of these spots, all right? Mainly because they're conservative. Voter fraud is real. Here's how Democrats want to steal the election. Newsweek, all right? You get a completely different set of information, all right? And Google is compromised because they donated to Democrats, all right? Same thing with Microsoft, all right? They also donated $17 million, Joe Biden. Amazon, $8.9 billion, Joe Biden. Facebook, this is where, like I said, Candace Owens sued those fact checkers. All the fact checks you're seeing on Facebook, they're not real fact checks, right? Because you can see Facebook has a bias, and they've donated a lot to Joe Biden, all right? And this is actually on the lowballing end. It's not even going into the fact that Mark Zuckerberg donated directly to a lot of those swing state counties, to a lot of those voting areas. And I'll pull that story up in another video. But like, there's just so much evidence to show you that all these Apple, Netflix, Twitter, especially Twitter. Oh my God, super Joe Biden. All of them are compromised. They all donated to the Democrats because Democrats are more favorable to these monopolies. They're monopolies, people. What Trump is pushing for is more open market. That's why you're seeing a lot of these alternative places like instead of YouTube, there's these other ones called Rumble and OogTube and BitChute. These are other video streaming services that I'm going to be posting this probably on YouTube, but you're also going to find me in those other places because YouTube's censoring everything right now. They're part of Google. All right. Google doesn't want anything pro-Trump coming out. All right. So you might see this on YouTube. You might see it on other streaming service. But most likely, if I post this on YouTube, according to their policy, check it out. I'll pull it up right now. This is how bad censorship has gotten. YouTube policy. Let's see right here. How policies work, policy overview. Here you go. And it's by the New York Times. YouTube is forbidding videos claiming widespread election fraud, which is what I'm claiming. So if you see this video on YouTube, it won't be on there very long. They're going to be taking it down pretty soon. And they might even delete my channel. But at this point, I don't freaking care. All right. But if you read these stories, they pretty much say that they throughout the election cycle, YouTube, which is owned by Google, has allowed video spreading false claims of widespread election fraud. False claims of widespread election fraud. Let me take you back over here. All right. Let me show you. This isn't the only site, by the way. There are other sites. This is just the easiest for me to pull up. But why, if there was no widespread election fraud, why are there 125 House Republicans joining a lawsuit that Texas filed against these 4 states? If there's zero evidence, if there's zero evidence, I bet none of you have even looked at any of the hearings. There is just all of this. All right, Sidney Powell. Dominion Smartmatic and China involved in Cyber Pearl Harbor in 2020 election. All right, there's all of this. Look, I want to show you this too. I want to see if I can pull up that video. That's not it. Well, I remember right before the election, Joe Biden said that he was pretty much behind the biggest voter fraud, the biggest, most extensive voter fraud system they've ever implemented or something like that. I'll pull that video up. I don't have it right now. Don't have a whole lot of time. But expect more of these videos. It might not be on YouTube very long, so you're going to have to find me on other sources. But yeah, look, I just want to make this video real quick. Look, this is just the tip of the iceberg, all right? This is just to show you that the fake news is a real thing. It is a real thing, and that they're not reporting on this stuff. This was breaking in October, and CNN's barely reporting on it in December. Why? Because it's after the election, all right? And all of these companies, big tech and all of these media companies, are only owned by a small amount of people, and all of these people donated to the Democratic Party. So it's not hard to figure out why they would do that, all right? They're greedy. These are big multi-billion-dollar companies. They want to stay on top. They don't want competition. They don't want small businesses or small corporations catching up to them. So they're going to side with the party that gives them the monopoly power. That's what it comes down to, all right? And Trump has been their biggest obstacle. He has, all right? And all this stuff coming out in the news, you're finding out that a lot of this, just real quick, last thing I'm going to show you before I end this video. Chinese interference. I didn't spell that right. There you go. Okay. There's Chinese interference, Chinese targeting U.S. Reuters is another bad one. Just look, China targeting U.S. election infrastructure, China interfering in Nepal's internal politics, China interference in foreign media is growing. Donald Trump Jr. tweets flashback video of California dam Swalwell. Oh, yeah. If you heard about the Swalwell story, probably not. It's not on any of the mainstream. But if you look into it, you'll find out that China has been interfering in our elections for a while. They have financial interest in the Dominion voting software. The whole Hunter Biden story, when you look into it, they find out that he's been doing deals with China. All right. So it's no coincidence that Donald Trump has been China, 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 China the whole time. It's because he's aware of something that a lot of you are not. You gotta remember that he's not lying and just talking out his ass. He's the president of the United States. He has all this info that we can only dream of having. All right. He's got all these agencies bringing him all this stuff. He knows what China's up to. All right. They've been meddling in our elections for a long time, and they had compromised the vice president of the United States. The guy that almost became president of the country is compromised by a foreign government, a communist foreign government, just to put it lightly. You guys need to wake the hell up, all right? There's so much crap going on right now, and none of you are even paying attention. Next few videos, I'm going to go more in depth in this subject, but for now, I just thought I would introduce you to the idea of what fake news, because a lot of you feel like there's no way they could all be fake. There's no way. You guys are reaching, right? CNN, they're never wrong. I don't know how many times I've heard that, and it's so frustrating when people say that. But I'm gonna leave it there. Y'all can keep your head in the sand while this is going on, but I'm not gonna shut up, and I'm just gonna be putting out more videos like this. Even if I get banned from YouTube, don't care. I'm not even monetized, making money. Doesn't hurt me. I'm going to other networks. I'm going to other places. I got a podcast. If you guys have been following me there, I go into detail on a lot of this stuff. So follow me. I'll keep you updated. If you're willing to learn more about this, stay tuned.